Shalom, this is Brother W from GMS Detroit. I would like to say all praise to you. How about Shemi? I was shy by Shemi Crocodile, double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule well. Shalom to the whole full elect out there. With that being said, I want to get into a quick lesson. And it's concerning this short video I ran across. So let's take a look at the video and then we hit it with a couple of scripts.
Our own mother somewhere. Most people think you're supposed to take care of your parents no matter what. But my mother left me homeless when I was 17. Not struggling, not barely getting by. I mean, completely homeless. One day, she packed up everything that mattered to her. Then she ran off with another man to start a new life. And she made that clear. She left me and my siblings sitting in an apartment in a project waiting for the locks to get changed. I remember the last day she came back to get the rest of her stuff. She looked at me directly in my eyes and she asked, "So what you finna do?" And I stood there hoping my mama would say, "Come with me," but she didn't. She grabbed the rest of her stuff, walked out the door, and left me right there. 17 years old. No plan, no guidance, no mama, just the streets. So I took it to the chin. I slept wherever I could sleep, pillow to post with my baby mama. Eventually, I got a job. At 18 years old, I got my own place. And I started building a life for myself. I became the man that nobody invested in. Fast forward about 12 or 13 years later, my phone rang. "Hey, son, it's your mama." She had just been put out. Now, she needed somewhere to stay. And I had it. I had the space. I had the money. I had the resources. For a moment, my heart wanted to say yes, because that's my mama. But then my memory kicked in. Flashbacks of being 17 years old, standing outside that apartment, watching my mama walk away. So I told her, "No, mama." And I reminded her, "You remember when you left me homeless? I had to figure it out." And I told her, "You had to figure it out just like I did." And would you believe she hung up before I did? And I'm not gonna lie. I sat there for a moment, shed a few tears, because denying your own mother somewhere to stay hurts. But boundaries matter. Some people think forgiveness means access. It doesn't. I forgave my mother, but she doesn't get the benefit from the man I became without her investment. You can love someone and still refuse to let them benefit from the damage that they cause, because sometimes the harvest people reap is the seeds that they planted. Most people think you're supposed.
Hey, we see Jake, right? Jake got him a little podcast, and he decide to share a little of his family business, where he had a rough upbringing with his mom, and come to find out, I looked at a couple of more of his videos, and his mama was on drugs and whatnot. His mama and father was on drugs and whatnot. Hey, but that's a lot of us Jakes, man. My mama and father was on drugs, man. You know what I'm saying? But thank Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. I had grandparents that fill that void and, take up that slack and whatnot. But nevertheless, he denied his mom a place to stay when he got on his feet, and she needed a place, and he remembered. He reached back in his memory to remember how she did him wrong, and that gave him a reason not to help her, And what we learn in this truth, like, hey man, let's just get the scripture. Evil for evil. So we learn in this truth that, hey, you can't repay evil for evil. Let's get the script. This is Romans 12 and 17. And it says, recompense no man evil for evil. It says, provide things honest in the sight of all men. And it says, if possibly as much as lieth in you, live peacefully with all men. So nevertheless, hey, just dealing with the first part, hey, you can't recompense evil for evil, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't pay back evil for evil, man. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, the Lord is he pays back. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We don't do that. We learn that in this truth. And then, this is dealing with your mom too, man. You should have let your mom come back. You know what I'm saying? If your mom, I could understand if your mom was still in her sickness and in drugs, and you ain't want the drugs around your kids or your family, I understand something like that. But he didn't say that. But nevertheless, if your mom needed a place to stay, you gonna just let her sit out in the streets? You at the time you said you was 17. You really a grown man. You know what I'm saying? I always remember the time my grandfather told me he left Mississippi, Meridian, Mississippi, when he was, he had like 16 brothers and sisters, and he left the farm at about 13 years old. And hitchhiked all the way to New Orleans and lived with his older brother. And then from there, he came to Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So nevertheless, hey, the man back then was a lot stronger. You know what I'm saying? And hey, you was 17 back then. You said you had a baby mama, so you was doing grown up things, but you wasn't grown. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't say you was doing grown up things, because that we can't put an age on. It's not a particular age, as far as you know, in modern society, we would say that. You know what I'm saying? That what's the childbearing age, and you would think of a man will, bear children, when he get off into his 20s or something like that, but that's not scriptural. But nevertheless, um, yeah, Jake, you don't recompense evil for evil, man. You know what I'm saying? And you should let your mama come in and live with her and talk to her, man. And therefore, you would have, just doing that good deed to your mom, you would have heaped hot coals onto her head, man, as the scriptures say. So let's get that scripture. So this is Proverbs. Uh, there you go. Proverbs 25 and 21 says, "If thy enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink." Verse 22, it says, "For thou shalt heap hot coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee." So yeah, man, you could have heaped hot coals on her head, man. And hold on for 1 second, bro. Trying to keep my grandkids from coming in here. Nevertheless, yeah, you could have heaped the hot coals on her head, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't put, not pay evil for evil, man. And then, Jake say anything on this damn podcast is just for views, man. And you shouldn't do that because you don't, a lot of Jakes listen to these podcasts and these short videos and they learn from this shit. You know what I'm saying? So you can be actually, um, you know, spreading that mess onto other people, giving that spirit onto them, you know what I'm saying, to go against the Most High, what he, ultimately his one of his laws, and that's to honor your mother and thy father, and we'll bring those scriptures out too. So yeah, Jake, you can't do that. The scripture said, "Little leaven leaveneth the whole loaf," man. So you spreading that filth, spreading how you did your mama wrong, and you shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't do that. So nevertheless, let's get with this. I got another scripture I want to bring out. And that's let's go to Exodus. And we say 20 and verse 12. And it reads, it says, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, thy power has given thee." So yeah, man, hey, that's straight to the point, man. You know, you heap hot coals and just deal with what she did a long time ago. Hey, man, talk to your mama, man. That's why this truth is so vital, man. And that's another thing why Esau had, took beat this truth and took this truth away from us, man. Because this is the thing that God gave us, to govern us, which made us holy and made us His saints. We was holy, set apart people. You know what I'm saying? We was given these laws, to govern us, and we're supposed to be an example unto the whole world. You know, so nevertheless, that's why Esau beat these laws out of us, our statute commandments, and he did, as the scriptures say, he did a diligent search, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. And there's just no chance that he just went over there to land of Ham and came back with these in particular people, or these throwaway people. No, he searched and found the Israelite. He searched and found the people that was practicing that law. You know what I'm saying? And that'll be even when I got this truth, that's what one of the elders explained to me. He say, he explained it like that. He say, when Israel was being overran, at 70 AD, the last of the Southern Kingdom was expelled from Israel, and They ran off into, all the outer parts of Africa. They went out into the Africa and whatnot. Into these, they went to these other tribes, and some of these tribes, these kings, and let them come stay in there, and then they start practicing their laws there and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And they scattered all abroad over the whole earth. But that mainly they went out into Africa. You know what I'm saying? So nevertheless, they went out, amongst Ham and them, and they were still they were still practicing their laws and whatnot. And so when the slave trade began, who would be the ones the kings would give up? It would be those newcomers, those ones who came in here, trying to tell us, not to eat certain type of food, not to do this, not to do that. You know what I'm saying? Those troublemaker, those over there, those over there is keeping the law. You know what I'm saying, and whatnot. So nevertheless, hey, you know, Esau came and gathered them up, and brought them over here, where the northern kingdom had been, and nevertheless, hey, so yeah, hey, Esau create this world, or this utopia of sin for Jake to live in, to keep him far away from his power, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's a shrimp shack on every corner, a liquor store, shrimp and rib shack on every corner, man. You know what I'm saying? He weaponized your entertainment, and he weaponized also your woman. You know what I'm saying? To keep you far, far, far away from that power, man. Because he know the power that you had was really true indeed, a great power, man. And Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, hey man, that was a great power, man. He never want to see those angels come back to help us, man. We done read the stories when the Maccabees and the other stories, even with Moses, where the angels will appear, and help us in certain things, you know, and yeah, man. So hey, this is his whole job. His whole job. The heathen raged when they began to build the temple back. The heathen raged because they know he was getting close to your power, getting close back to your power, man. So hey, you know, just get another script. Which one I want to bring out? Okay, let's do this Deuteronomy. Which basically is a lot of the scriptures that say the same thing as far as your parents, man. Honor your mother and father, man. Deuteronomy 5 and verse 16, it says, honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy power hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua thy power given thee. So yeah, hey man, that's a commandment, man. That's a law. You know what I'm saying? And only in Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, aka America, will produce a nigga like this who wouldn't even give his mama a place to stay, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's all a part about that falling away that we had to go through, man. So let's get a couple more scripts and we'll be done, and we'll be wrapping it up soon. So I want to get out this. Let's see. Basically, these say the same. These all saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying about their mom, your father, and your mom, your parents, man. This is Matthew 15, verse 4. And it reads, it says, for Yahweh commanded, saying, honor thy father and thy mother, and he that curses father or mother, let him die to death. Yeah, man. This is a command. This is for Yahweh commanded. So this is one of our commandments, man. You know what I'm saying? This is something that must be done, man. And I remember as a youth, man, hey man, mama, dad is on drugs. I would help them, man. I would help them. It was a painful thing to see that, to see your mama and daddy helpless, walk your mama roaming the streets of your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? That's a terrible thing you have to live through. And I often I often, pondered on that, especially been in the truth, well, my whole life, but, it's when I got in the truth, and, the truth helped me answer that question. Spirit came on me one day and said, well, you had to get that type of parent for you to wake up this day. Because if I gave you some old bougie parents, then you might not have woke up. If I gave you a bougie parents that would have read to you and made sure you had the proper education, sent you off to some old university and everything, and you've been Then you get indoctrinated and shit. Maybe even join the sorority or sorority, what they call them, sorority or some shit like that. And now you in this world and shit, thinking ain't nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord, hey, the Spirit came to me and said, "Hey, hey, this is what I had to give you to wake you up." And now I can see it. Now I can appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? You know that what they had to go through for me. You know what I'm saying? For me to reach this point. You know what I'm saying? Every brother had their different walks and, of what they had to go through to put them here. You know what I'm saying? This is a part of our predestination. And this shows the masterful work of how the Lord is, how he can, how he orchestrate things, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it is what it is. So yeah, we'll read one more script and we're gonna go to Mark. Basically gonna say the same thing, man. Mark 7 verse 10. And it reads, it says, for Moses said, honor thy father and thy mother, and whoso curses his father or mother, let him die to death. Yeah, hey, that's hey man, that's plain as can be. And if you're having a problem with any of these children, you make them read that, man. You're growing up, your eyes are having a problem with my child. And right now, is because Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai spared her that she ain't dead right now. You know what I'm saying? She in jail. You know what I'm saying? The Lord had to lock her ass up. You know what I'm saying? Because she was rebellious and she was doing anything but honoring her mother and father. You know what I'm saying? I just say the majesty of the Lord and his greatness, man. You know what I'm saying? How he spared her, man. How he spared her, man. And I'm thankful that he spared her. But if her end was to come, I would understand it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, amen. This truth is a beautiful thing that we have, man. This truth is very beautiful. It's a very special thing to know and understand this truth, man. You know. So with that, I would like to conclude the lesson. I would like to say all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, and Crocodiles, double honors to the elders, apostles of GMS who ruled well and taught us this truth, and shalom to the whole elect out there.